The best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
And great to have you with us on this Monday edition of the show, which will include a lot of football. Bill Bender drops by in about 20 minutes from the Sporting News. Huge upset in college football this weekend. Only a couple of games really worth digging into, so we'll have Bill on for a segment today. Brian Twining drops in from Bleacher Nation to talk NASCAR as the playoffs roll on there. Raleigh continues to add to his record-setting home run total. We'll get to that as well. The U.S. Open and a whole bunch more. But boy, are we glad the NFL is back, Sam Yarnell. What a weekend. What a week one. We can only go down from here. It can't possibly get better than what we saw in week one, Sam. For the record, 3-1 in Page versus the Prince. Sam was 2-2, continuing his trend of mediocrity. But hey, it's week one. You take what you can get in week one because things can just go anywhere and go haywire. We got to start out with the Ravens and Bills. And I wasn't planning to spend a whole segment on one game with so much to talk about from the NFL. But Sam, to me, this game, and this is not a shot at the Bills, and frankly, it's a compliment to the Bills. Everything about this game is about the Ravens. Everything to me about this game worth discussing is the Ravens, because that's the story. Because here's what we know about the Bills. They're going to win a lot of games. They're going to win their division. They're going to make a deep run in the postseason. How deep, we don't know. A lot of that is matchup predicated and where you are at that time of the season, injuries, all of that stuff. We know what the Bills are. They're a great football team. But what we know about the Ravens is this is supposed to be a Super Bowl team. And it is supposed to have been a Super Bowl team now for the last few years with an MVP quarterback, multi-time winning MVP quarterback, with a future Hall of Fame running back in Derrick Henry, with potentially a future Hall of Fame coach in John Harbaugh. And you go out last night with a 15, 16-point lead, 8 minutes left. You got fans leaving. You've got the Bills right where you want them. You're making a statement on opening night, and then you throw up all over yourself in the final 8 minutes. After dominating this game for 52 minutes. This is about the Ravens. This is everything that embodies what this iteration of the Ravens have been, Sam. And they just invent new ways to lose games. And I don't know. And look, if you're a fan, maybe you just chalk it up as one game. And hey, what about the first 52 minutes where we dominated? We took our foot off the gas pedal, all those things, Sam. I'm at a loss for words as to how that team lost that game last night.
Yeah, I'll get to the Ravens in a second. This game was really just about how great and one of one and the best player in football Josh Allen is, and I'll get to that in just a second too, because you mentioned off the top the Page versus the Prince thing, and yes, Jason, I was 2-2 on the show this week, but people, this is why it pays to follow me on social media. I gave out a bet in every single game on Sunday, and we went 9-4 in those bets. You basically made money any which way you tailed. To the Josh Allen point, he is the best quarterback in the league. We're done I'm sorry, people can continue to have this Lamar versus Josh conversation. It's over. It's done. We're not having it anymore. Look at Lamar's last two performances head-to-head against Josh Allen and compare them to Josh Allen's in those two performances. It's quite frankly dominant. Josh Allen right now is the best quarterback in football, and quite frankly, the second best quarterback in football isn't very close to him. All right, to the Ravens. This is DEFCON 5 on week one of the NFL season, and it wouldn't be if you lost this game any other way. John Harbaugh coached his way out of this game. You have to, one, be able to deal with your star running back fumbling the football after having the performance that he had, and there's a large contingent of Ravens fans that are out here calling Derrick Henry washed the day out. I guess we were watching two different Derrick Henrys in that game, because he, quite frankly, may be the best running back in the NFL. I think that there's a very strong argument you can make for that right now. In year 10 of his NFL career,
hold on a second.
And he still hasn't surpassed the amount of rushing yards he had in his 4-year high school career. Hold on. This guy does.
Hold on, before you continue. I have to not call you out. Are there really people saying he's washed, or are these stupid social media trolls in their mom's basement?
I mean, there's still people too, as much as some people may
They're
wish
people
they
too.
weren't.
There you
They're
go.
still people too.
That's a
And
campaign banner.
I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I was reading so much about this Bills-Ravens game, but my algorithm took me so deep into Ravens Twitter last night, and it was all of this, Lamar is the best, and Derrick Henry, what are we doing with this washed running back? Give the ball to Justice Hill. What are we talking about here? Derrick Henry, I would argue, and I think I did fairly succinctly last night, is the reason for Lamar Jackson's recent success. The reason that the Ravens can run the offense that they're running with any semblance of success in the National Football League is solely because of Derrick Henry and no other reasons. They are running the Navy offense. They throw the ball once every 7 plays, and they still manage to hang with the best team in the NFL, the Buffalo Bills. So Derrick Henry, I mean, truly, as much as we can say that, Lamar lets this team down again, which he does. John Harbaugh can't coach his way out of a phone booth, which he can't. Derrick Henry truly put on a show last night, and I know his team didn't win, so it's not going to get as recognized as it should, but I'll tell you what, this Bills fan gained another level of respect for the all-time great running back last night.
Can I sneak in a thought? It's a play that'll go unnoticed in the overall scheme of everything that happened last night. What really the kind of stuff that impresses me about Josh Allen, that play at the end of the first half, where you've got just a few seconds left on the clock, in a game that you win with the last second field goal, that 3 that they stole at the end of the first half, where everybody thought they were going to chuck it downfield, and he throws a pass to the sideline with less than a second left, and they're able to get out of bounds and steal a quick 3 there at the end of the first half. Those are the plays. Forget the arm and the athleticism. We all know that by now. It's those plays that I look at in the growth of Josh Allen and say, he gets it. He gets it up here. And that's the sort of stuff. Real quick.
That play was controversial, and man, I was way too on Ravens Twitter last night. Play was controversial. All the Ravens fans were saying that the clock operator manipulated the clock in the middle of that play.
Good Lord.
Listen, there was questionable officiating yesterday across the league, sure. Jason. We'll have to get to it later in the show.
Yeah, if not later in the show, then tomorrow. We've got Tuesday leftovers that we're going to have to pick up the pieces on because we obviously can't do an entire show of the NFL. Otherwise, everybody not interested in the NFL is going to tune out the show. So we can't do that. 3 quick things on Bills Mafia, if I may say real quick. You cannot throw a water bottle at Derrick Henry as he crosses into the end zone for a touchdown. That guy should be thrown out for life. Fans leaving early, that's a bad job. 3, you cannot hit Lamar Jackson and DeAndre Hopkins in the head as they're walking off the field and not expect retribution. Bill Bender coming up in 10 minutes on the show to talk college football. More NFL to get to. And don't worry, if we don't get to a particular game or storylines, we will get to it tomorrow. We've got an hour to work with. So Sam Yarnell, summarizing as much as we can in the next 7 minutes and 30 seconds from what happened in the NFL on Sunday and a little bit on Friday as well. Let's get to the Friday stuff first with the Chiefs and Chargers, and the Chargers winning in Brazil. And this is not me giving a pass or trying to go easy on the Chiefs. It's week 1. They're in Brazil. I'm not going to lose my mind on anything that happens, good or bad, on a week 1 game in Brazil. I just can't. There's no way these guys are going to be 100% of themselves in these situations. Certain players might be able to overcome it differently, and all of that is fine. I'm not going to lose my mind. Of all the overreaction Monday things we can do on this show, this is not one where I'm going to do an overreaction thing on the Chiefs. If this is still an issue in 2 or 3 weeks, then we can have that conversation. I'm not having it after week 1, though, Sam.
I mean, I'm not here to tell you that the Chiefs are, they're my Super Bowl pick at the end of the day. I'm not going to tell you that they are a bad football team. I will say this is not your father's Chiefs. This is not the same team that we are accustomed to seeing. Patrick Mahomes and I banged on this drum all season, and it took all the way until the Super Bowl for people to listen to me. Patrick Mahomes is no longer the quarterback that so many people think that he is. He does not make the same reads. He does not make the same plays. Sure, some of the athleticism is there. Sure, the weird arm angles are still there. But I tell you, man, he does not have the ability that he used to have in this National Football League. And maybe that's the league catching up to him. Maybe that's the league figuring him out. I don't know. Maybe it's Andy Reid losing his fastball. Maybe it's the rest of that coaching staff. I'm not going to point to exactly what it is, but I know football well enough to know when something's not what it was. These Chiefs are not the same as they used to be.
Can we also say it's still receivers dropping passes on them too, though? I mean, can we also acknowledge that they've still got guys who can't catch footballs when that's literally your job is to catch a football? That's part of it. I'll say the bigger headline from that game, again, as much as we can make it about the Chiefs, it was Justin Herbert.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's the headline to me coming from that game. All right, move away from that. Otherwise, we won't get to anything else. Aaron Rodgers, I said it, and I will say it again. The reason that team will make the playoffs is because think about the quarterback position for that franchise over the last several years, and then you put a future Hall of Fame quarterback who could still clearly sling it when he's upright and not, planted on his rear end because the offensive line can't hold off the blitz. I mean, Aaron Rodgers showed up yesterday, and the Jets played a heck of a game, and then did what the Jets inevitably do late, and that is figure out a way to lose. And, this is what the Steelers are going to be. They're going to win close games. I think having a guy like Aaron Rodgers is going to enable you to win some of those close games that you may have lost with some of those other quarterbacks. Hats off to the Steelers. Get a win in week 1 against a game Jets team.
I'll see your Aaron Rodgers and I'll raise you Justin Fields because
I told you Justin Fields would be good, Sam.
This game impressed on multiple levels. I'm so glad that Aaron Rodgers came out and did this in week 1. I can't wait to sell. I really like all the Aaron Rodgers stock. Give me all of it so I can sell it all next week because everybody's going to be buying right about this time. Do I think that the Steelers are going to win a lot of games this year because of week 1? No. Do I think that the Jets are going to lose a lot of games this year because of week 1? No. This was a very weird game. The only game in the non-primetime windows that went over the listed total. This game, we said going into this week that there would be one game that just doesn't make sense. I'm choosing this as that game. You're
not choosing Indy and Miami?
No.
I know we all thought Miami, that this could be a train wreck, and it was in week 1. But Daniel Jones playing that well in week 1? I mean, really? Back to Danny Dimes from like 3 years ago? Like, really? We saw that coming? I don't know if anybody saw that coming.
People forget that this guy is 2 weeks removed from winning a quarterback competition with a top 5 overall pick from 3 years ago.
Well, that's as much an indictment on Anthony Richardson as it is anything.
Is it, though?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that, there's a reason the Vikings and that prolific offense signed him last year after the Giants let him go. The change of scenery cannot be understated for how important it was to Daniel Jones' career. And I am glad that I, fantasy-wise, invested in a lot of Colts this year.
All right. I know we wanted to get to Green Bay and Detroit, so in the final 2 minutes here, let's talk about that. Because, look, we all know Green Bay's defense is going to be a juggernaut this year. And boy, was it. I still don't think, I am not going to go and sell all my Detroit Lions stock based on one game. Again, this game to me is as much about how good Green Bay is and will be throughout the season. But that team, as great as that defense is, that team, by the end of the year, they're not going to win a Super Bowl strictly because of a defense. Jordan Love is still going to have to make plays. And while they, were impressive in week 1, and that's all great, I still need to see it from Jordan Love in a big spot. The same way I needed to see it from Lamar Jackson in a big spot. The same way I still need to see it from, a lot of these young stud quarterbacks that we have in this league that are hoping to get over get to the mountaintop, Sam. But thoughts from you on Green Bay and Detroit in the final minute here?
All Jordan Love's got to do is be a game manager to get this team to a Super Bowl. That defense is insane. And the most mind-boggling part of it all to me, Jason, is that Micah Parsons played like 40-something% of the defensive snaps. I want to say maybe it was in the high 30s even. Micah Parsons was barely out on the field, and he was still a game wrecker.
A pass rush is going to give offensive coordinators nightmares.
Against what I would call, as an offensive line aficionado myself, one of the better offensive lines in the National Football League. And the Green Bay Packers looked like they were playing against a JV football team out there. It's going to be fun to watch this Green Bay defense this year.
It is. They've got something very special there. Super Bowl contenders for sure. But I'm not going to do the crazy overreaction stuff on Monday. I'm just not doing it, not in week 1, because I said it on Friday. Teams don't know they suck yet. There's a lot that goes into these early season games and what teams look like early on versus what they're going to look like in 2 months. Bill Bender is next. Coming up in 10 minutes, the weekend in Major League Baseball. Talk about that a bit. Cal Raleigh doing Cal Raleigh things. Yankees getting a little closer in the AL East. But more football now with Bill Bender, who joins us on Mondays to talk college football. Sporting News does a great job there. There are those rare moments on the weekends, Bill, when even I have to text you and harass you on the weekend, which I will get to in just a moment. But first, a thought on, there's only a couple of games I really want to get into, and one of them is Oklahoma, who beats Michigan. Mateer throws for 270, a score. They run the football pretty effectively. What is this win? We're going through this theme today on the show about, trying to figure out where the focus should be in some of these games. For me, it's all about the Ravens. It's really nothing about the Bills because we know the Bills are good. We know what the Bills are going to be. To me, the Ravens, that Ravens-Bills game is as much about the Ravens as it is anything. Detroit and Green Bay. It's less about Detroit. It's more about Green Bay. And I know you're thrilled about those Packers. To me, as much as we can talk about Oklahoma here, what does it sort of say about the state of affairs and where Michigan is with what took place in that game?
Well, I mean, not an unexpected result. I think Sharon Moore is going to have to take a hard look at how they want to be offensively with Bryce Underwood. I thought they were way too conservative. It's easy to say, let Bryce cook and all of those kind of things that kids say these days, but he's not quite ready. I mean, he needs to develop as a passer, especially down the field, but that's the price you pay with a 5-star quarterback. There are going to be ups and downs, and John Mateer looked like a guy that played a lot of football. Bryce Underwood looked like a guy making his first road start against a ranked team. But I don't think Sharon helped him. I think that when you get their game plan, Jason, was we're going to play it conservative. They got behind by 2 scores, then let a freshman try to lead you back. That never works. So I think they're going to have to go up tempo, recruit some receivers, and they're not going to be there yet this year. But I think Bryce Underwood has some signs for a bright future.
Does that schedule, in a typical year, you might argue, well, can you really afford to be learning on the job throughout the season when you're playing for a Michigan? But to me, their schedule sort of lends itself to him being able to do that. Am I wrong?
No, he'll be fine. And I think these next 2 games without Sharon Moore on the sideline are going to be interesting. I think they'll throw more against Central Michigan this week. The Chips have allowed more than 300 yards passing in each of their first 2 games. And then we'll see where he's at Nebraska. That's the next one. I mean, their schedule was set up with some tricky road games early. Now, if they go to Nebraska and do the same thing and play it too conservative and end up losing by 10 to Matt Rule, then you can start complaining about the usage of Bryce Underwood. But I think in general, the story to me was kind of the opposite. I saw Oklahoma with a better defense, with a quarterback who reminds me of Baker. I didn't check the Heisman odds yet, but I think he should be the front runner through 2 weeks because of that run-pass combination he gives that team.
Wow. All right. And just a quick thought on Oklahoma through the first couple of games here.
yeah, like I said, tough defense, going to be able to compete in the SEC. Yeah. I don't know if they're good enough to make the playoff, but they're close.
What prompted me to text you was I somehow got wrapped up in Kansas State and Army, and I picked it up late. And I'm sitting here going, is this really happening? Is Army about to win on the road in Manhattan? And they did. What a remarkable effort from Jeff Monken's team to go into Manhattan and beat that Kansas State team. I don't like to talk about coaches being on the hot seat after the first 2 weeks, but you and I kind of joked via text about Chris Kleiman, and I mean, you lose to Army at home, it's going to raise some eyebrows, Bill.
Yeah, and I was at the time knee deep in the Billy Napier and Mike Gundy hot seat articles that we did at Sporting News, and this Dublin opener, coaches are going to hate it, and we talked about that a little bit last week. I mean, their season's pretty much, it's not all the way out of the door, but it's pretty close. And Army coming off the Tarleton State loss, they get the big win. Kansas State turnover problems continue, and this is a team that's going to be up against it in Big 12 play. I still think the Big 12 is really wide open. Arizona State's loss was a sign of that. They don't have Cam Scatterbo, and it showed at Mississippi State. That's a game where they really could have used having that running game. It started to work at the end, but the Big 12 will be wide open.
Yeah, that was pretty remarkable stuff to watch what Army was able to do. What else stood out to you real quick from week 2, I guess you can call it, here in college football? What really stood out to you of some of the other results?
Iowa State's toughness, they're kind of that team to watch out for.
Yeah.
Florida losing, obviously. South Florida, can they keep the joyride going against the Hurricanes this week? What a big win. And just the downfall of Oklahoma State. I had that game. I like watching kind of train wreck games, and Oregon quickly turned that into a train wreck, 69-3.
Bill Belichick is, sometimes, ugly relationships, they end and you just can't quit each other. And, it's the Patriots that way with Bill Belichick, where they're saying, him and his people aren't welcome there. And now he comes and fires back after getting his first win, which is what we should be talking about. But instead, we're talking about the fact that he's not allowing the Patriots into his facility. Is the focus in the right place here if this is the sort of stuff he's thinking about?
A bizarre story, knowing that Drake May, the Patriots quarterback, is arguably the most recognizable North Carolina football player in the NFL right now. I was thinking about that this morning. It's petty. It's strange. It can just only become more of a distraction. I think you got to be professional here on both sides. Like, the Patriots absolutely should be letting Belichick in there, and vice versa. If you've got Patriots scouts, you want to get guys to the league. I don't understand it at all. We'll see how it goes. North Carolina, though, they did get their win, they'll go through Richmond here, and then we'll see again when they play UCF in a few weeks how much improvement this team really has made.
Yeah, I was anxious to see sort of how they showed up and played this week, and what Gio Lopez looked like coming off that game last week. 17 of 25 for 155 and a score. Yeah,
and Charlotte's in rebuild project mode with Tim Albin, but it's still a victory. It's still in the right direction. I mean, you want to ask a coach with a bunch of transfers how it goes, look no further than Rich Rodriguez, who took his team to my alma mater last weekend, and the Bobcats pulled out an upset at Peden Stadium. You knew I was going to squeeze that in.
I knew you were, and I know you've already bought your Super Bowl tickets for the Packers, right? You've already got those?
I'm not going to tell you how many times I've watched that Micah Parsons sack. It would make me look like a sad individual, but let's just say it's a lot.
And it's a shame because it all gets overshadowed by that Ravens-Bills game last night, which is what anybody's going to want to talk about. Bill Bender, the Sporting News on college football. We'll see you next week.
Hey, thanks.
Coming up in 10 minutes, we talk NASCAR. Bleacher Nation's Brian Twining hangs out with us on our wraparound segment. Friday with Tino Patino. Mondays with Brian Twining. Exciting finish in St. Louis yesterday as the playoff picture becomes clearer. But first, some baseball. You didn't think we'd forget baseball. Not in a million years. Even with all the football, we're going to get a baseball segment in this show if it kills me, Sam Yarnell. You got wild card chases, playoff races. You've got, pennant races here. 3 divisions still up for grabs. Toronto 2 up on the Yankees after the Yankees take 2 of 3 from the Jays this weekend. Thank you, Max Scherzer, for tipping your pitches. We appreciate it. You've got the Astros 2.5 up on the Mariners, who we'll get to in a moment, and the Dodgers still just a game up. We all thought it was a fait accompli when the Dodgers swept the Padres a couple weeks ago. Now you turn around, the Padres just like a bad horror movie. You can't kill them. They're only a game back there in the NL West. But Sam, we were just talking off air for a moment about you think the AL West. I think as much as everybody will say, oh, they're only 2 back in the loss column. With Yordan Alvarez back, I don't see any way the Astros are losing that division.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, Jason. And the comment I made to you was I think that the Seattle Mariners are closer to missing, numbers-wise they are, closer to missing the playoffs than winning that division. It is just it's crazy how for so many months of the season leading up to the trade deadline, we were like, well, this is the Seattle brand of baseball. They can figure out how to fix this brand of baseball just a little bit. They'll probably be World Series contenders. And then they did. They actually fixed it for like a month and a half. And that just totally unraveled in the last 2 weeks. And now they're right back where they started, just clinging to playoff hopes.
I still don't have a lot of faith. I know they've won 7 of 10. I still don't have a lot of faith in the Rangers and Royals, though, to overtake the Mariners. I still feel like it's the Mariners, Red Sox, and Yankees. And I think some of that is a product of the fact that just, the Rangers have been depleted, injuries, that sort of thing. I still think the Mariners wind up squeaking in and making the playoffs. And I hope they do for the sake of that fan base, because I love that fan base in Seattle. Love you guys watching us over on Root Sports, by the way, as well. Cal Raleigh hits home run number 53, Sam. Now, I have to admit, before I should have done my due diligence here. I'm going to do it in real time, though. I have not looked at the MVP race over the last couple of days. It's insane to me. Minus 300. Judge is now minus 360 and Raleigh's plus 240. And I don't understand why, because Aaron Judge right now, especially over the last couple of months, isn't even the most valuable player on his team. Which is, it is completely baffling to me, Sam Yarnell, that we're having this conversation about Cal Raleigh versus Aaron Judge. And I know the batting out, and I know I waffle back and forth on this thing, which is probably why you're laughing. But to me, Cal Raleigh, with 53 home runs on a Mariners team that is fighting and clawing to get into the postseason, versus Aaron Judge, who's had a very pedestrian last 2+ months. And Cody Bellinger really has been the guy that's been the steady presence on that team this year. In between spurts from Giancarlo Stanton and Trent Grisham doing what he's doing. Cal Raleigh, to me, I'm back on the Cal Raleigh MVP train at plus 240. And I don't think he's going to win it, but damn, man, he should.
Yeah, he's not. It is Aaron Judge's award. I think that there are a multitude of reasons why. I agree with you. I don't know if it's necessarily Judge's award to have, right? Quite frankly, I think that there was not enough credit given to Tarek Skubal or even like Garrett Crochet. We did not give the pitchers enough credit in a year where I think that there could have been a very strong argument for a pitcher to win MVP. But yeah, Judge will win it because he stopped hitting 200. Like the numbers over the last month went from 200 to like 220 now. He's hitting like 300 over the last week or something. So he's going to win it. He's going to win it because he plays in New York. Let's call a spade. We haven't been for so long. You're talking about a guy who plays in New York versus a guy who plays in Seattle. The guy who plays in New York is going to win it. It's the problem with sports, right? These mediocre teams in New York get made out to not be mediocre because they're located in a certain city of the country. But
the Yankees are playing better, though. Look, the Yankees over the last 2.5 weeks are playing much better baseball. There's no getting around that. They are playing better baseball. And look, some of it's the product of the schedule, but they also won 2 of 3 from Houston and 2 of 3 from Toronto, which are 2 pretty darn good teams that are going to be in the playoffs. So, I as much as I want to bash the Yankees right now because I want to see Aaron Boone gone at the end of the year, it's kind of hard to when they're still at the end of all of this. They're still 17 games over 500, and they still have the highest run differential out there, maybe the second best run differential in baseball too. Real quick, because I want to get to the National League wild card.
Yeah, I mean, they have the sixth best record in baseball. I'm not going to give them all this credit because they hung 30 runs on the Brewers the first 3 games of the season.
Still, plus 140 is kind of hard to just hang on one series. But give me a thought on the National League wild card here, because the team I'm watching is the Giants. I know they've lost a couple in a row here, but the Mets are still hanging in there. I know you don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but they're still hanging in there, Sam.
You're right, I don't. So much so that a bet that I chose to place during this segment is the Mets to miss the playoffs.
How much
this
is it?
A team
What's the number? What's the number on
absolutely reeling right now. They're struggling to play 500 baseball, and now they've got to go up against a crazy schedule over the last 3 weeks of the season. Give me the Mets to miss the playoffs. What a disaster in Queens.
What's the number on the Mets right now to miss the playoffs?
6-1.
Okay. I'd love to see the Giants get in. Giants, Padres, and Dodgers all in the playoffs. California dreaming. All about that. All right, we've got some NASCAR we got to talk about, and we will, with Brian Twining from Bleacher Nation, get his thoughts on the win yesterday for Denny Hamlin. That's next. All right. 10 minutes from now, Odds and Ends wraps up the show. But if it's a Monday on this program, it means we're talking NASCAR. And we're bringing in our friend Brian Twining to help us with that. Does a great job with Bleacher Nation. Check out his fine work there. Well, Denny Hamlin picks up a win, Brian, in St. Louis over the weekend. It's still weird they call it the Enjoy Illinois 300 and then it's in St. Louis. It's yeah, whatever.
100%.
I know. It's one of those things. So Denny Hamlin gets the win. I happened to turn on the race because look, it's hard. It's competing with so many things yesterday between the U.S. Open tennis, I'm watching the Yankees. I've got the NFL on. I mean, there's so much going on. To me, I mean, I turned it on right at the restart. I don't know, it wasn't after stage 2, but there was a restart or something where Bubba Wallace basically stepped on the gas and nothing happened. When it looked like throughout the day he had a good enough car to win this race, Brian. And he kind of, it held up Kyle Larson, who was right behind him. And, Denny Hamlin's able to sort of march out to a lead in the final stage of this thing and eventually get a win. First of all, give me a thought on Hamlin, the win for him, sort of what it means as we continue to see these playoff standings, get into shape here, what this means for him, obviously.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody hotter in the playoffs right now than Denny Hamlin. I mean, he pulled it at Darlington, pulled it here at Gateway, and then he just won here at Gateway. And as you said, like you thought Bubba had a chance to win. I'll just come on and say whoever was out front was probably going to win this race, because something we've seen all too often. We saw it at Darlington 2 weeks ago. The leader is just, as the kids would say, OP in this next gen car. And you weren't passing for the lead at this track. And when Bubba did have that issue, which he was apparently stuck in first gear.
Yes.
He kind of ruined his, Larson, and everybody that was in that high lines chance at winning the race.
Now, Chase Briscoe won a stage. Bubba wins a stage. We don't talk about stage wins as much during the regular season, even though we know it matters. We don't talk about it as much on this show because we only got 7 minutes with you, and we're just trying to sort of get the 30,000-foot view. How big are these stage wins in the playoffs, though?
Oh, huge. When you account for the fact that you get to carry over playoff points into the next round, these are huge points and portions of a race that I don't think a lot of people are looking at. And when you look at the standings right now, Briscoe has a win, so he's already locked in. But Bubba, he currently sits 50 points above the cut line. Yeah, and then he's going to go into next round at a much more advantageous position because of this stage win. And, we've been talking about Bubba Wallace a lot this season, but I think people really need to take notice. He's a legit championship contender with how they've been racing.
We thought Shane Van Gisbergen was a lock for the next round, Brian. Everybody was talking about him first 2 rounds potentially. He's going to be in the final 4. He won all these races. And yet here we are looking at him, and he's below the cut line right now
Yeah.
and in danger of not even advancing to the next round. This is crazy.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Shane, he's going to a track that he had admittedly said earlier in the year he might as well be driving backwards at. So it's not sounding great for Shane in advancing here in the playoffs, which honestly I think would put the fear of God into the rest of the field, knowing that he's not in the playoffs when we go to the Roval, because he is going to take a win from a playoff driver. But, you know, anything can happen as we head to Bristol for the Bristol night race, and just hopefully we get tire fall off.
Yeah, he better hope for something. He better hope.
Yeah.
He better hope tires fall off some of these guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of these guys got forget tire fall off. He better hope tires fall off.
He needs Bristol spring 2024, where there was like 20 laps on tires were all that you got if you were running really hard.
You know, we talked a lot about Kyle Larson and what he didn't do in the second half of the NASCAR season. But so far in these playoffs, you know, despite the fact that he hasn't won a race, he's doing enough right now.
Yeah, and we're going to the track that he's won the last 2 races at. So obviously he's the favorite opening up this week. I just saw somebody text me a book opened, and he's at plus 210 to win this race, which is absurd before we even see practice at an oval. So Larson's in very good shape as we look forward to the playoffs.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Other guys you look at right now in danger, Logano?
Logano, that team is so good at manufacturing results and getting the points that they need in a race. I'm not too worried about Joey. Now, I am worried about a guy like Austin Cindric, who sits 11 points above the cut line right now. Bristol is not his best track. They seem to not be able to figure out pit road. Often he qualifies well, and then the race just kind of falls off the rail. So I'm a little worried about Cindric.
Who else in this next race, does this track set up well for?
Well, I mean, you got to look at HMS. They're just, after Darlington's disappointment, they came here at Gateway, and they all wound up looking decent enough to compete inside the top 10. And then Alex Bowman, this is one of his better tracks. So despite him sitting 35 points below the cut line, I think he has a legit shot to go out here and perform really well, and potentially with team orders, take a stage win or something of that nature and wind up advancing here in the playoffs.
Denny Hamlin with the 5th win of the year. Real quick here in the final 30 seconds.
Crazy.
That's my thought exactly. That's where I am too.
Yeah, I played under 3.5 wins for Denny at the beginning of the season with the way that he ended 2024. So to see him doing this again, basically in his revenge tour on NASCAR with this whole lawsuit still going on, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is. Bristol next weekend. We'll see how it all shakes out. Hopefully we'll connect next time you're back out here in Vegas, my friend. Thanks for hanging out with us on the show as always. Brian Twining, Bleacher Nation. Thank you, my friend. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Jason. Take it easy.
We're coming back with more Sports Wrap on this Monday. Odds and ends, the U.S. Open, and Philly's Karen, of course, next. Just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Monday. Tomorrow on the show, Tuesday NFL leftovers. Because who doesn't have room for leftovers? We love leftovers. I had some yesterday. I'm not going to say this. I'm not going to say where this took place, Sam Yarnell. But I had one of the worst dining experiences at a chain restaurant that I have ever had in my life on Friday night. Think of your big chain restaurants, your Outback, Chili's, Applebee's, Buffalo Wild Wings,
okay.
right?
Okay. That's not what I was thinking, but okay.
What were you thinking when I said chain restaurant?
I was thinking your Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
No. I know I'm good. Well, P.F. Chang's is...
Yeah, P.F. Chang's isn't quite that
I'm married
same
to
level,
an
but
Asian,
you know what
so
I mean.
if I go to P.F.
American restaurant family.
Yeah, I get threatened with divorce if I go to P.F. Chang's. Because, really. Don't get me wrong, the lettuce wraps are great. Anyway, I had one of the worst experiences. The only redeeming value was the steak that I got, because everything else about this meal was horrendous. and I had the steak leftovers yesterday. That was the point I was going to make about the steak. All right, couple of quick notes. Sports Wrap with Jason Page, the podcast. If you have not subscribed yet, make sure to do so. It's on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Our Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. This, I'm telling you, if you have not subscribed to it yet, go. Sports Wrap shorts are there, clips from the show, sometimes clips not from the show. There was a whole bunch of content up there this weekend, in addition, obviously, to the show. Without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, what do you say we do it? Time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, Sam Yarnell. Carlos Alcaraz is your winner at the U.S. Open. What'd you think? I was going to do the other one first? Yeah, you thought I was. You were ready for it. See, you were gearing up for the fastball, and I threw you the change, and you were way out in front.
No.
Carlos Alcaraz beats Jannik Sinner in 4 sets yesterday. Pretty handedly, quite honestly. Impressive performance by Alcaraz. This after Aryna Sabalenka got her win in the U.S. Open against Amanda Anisimova. Hats off to both of them. In the case of Alcaraz, certainly the number 1 ranked player in the world, deservedly so. But the fact remains, the last 2 years, every major winner has either been Sinner or Alcaraz, and it's going to be that way probably for the next several years because I don't see anybody challenging these guys.
Well, in 3 straight major finals, we've had these two meet in the major final. Carlos Alcaraz, thank goodness you won. All that is right and good has been restored to the tennis world because Jannik Sinner is no longer going to be atop it. Again, if you missed it over the last, years, Jannik Sinner has been found guilty of doping and has never openly said that he quit it. Jannik Sinner, in my opinion, probably cheats. Carlos Alcaraz probably does it a little bit better than Jannik Sinner. So I respect that a little bit more. But yeah, this was great. I will say, best moment of the weekend in tennis, the Aryna Sabalenka post-match press conference where she walked in all loose with the big bottle of champagne. That was awesome. Yeah. Need more of that in tennis because that's what brings eyeballs to the sport, and that's fun.
Yeah. And hats off to Misanova, by the way, to get double bageled at Wimbledon and then come back and make the U.S. Open final. I don't think we've seen the last of her. I do think she's got at least one major in her.
And she's super young, isn't she?
Yeah, she is still pretty young. Last but not least, Philly's Karen, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you. If you have not seen it by now, then you've been sleeping in a cave. This woman who stole the home run ball. Well, she didn't steal the home run ball. So the guy goes and gets the home run. As you can see it all playing out on the screen here. Guy goes, gets the home run ball. Karen comes running over, puts hands on him, by the way. That was assault. Comes and puts hands on him, gives him the old finger wave and yells at him. And he just says, you know what, this ain't worth it. Looks at his son, takes the baseball, gives it to her. The son makes out like a bandit, by the way. Gets an autographed baseball from Harrison Bader, a bat, a gift bag from the Marlins. Good job by them. I think they're getting an RV and tickets to the World Series from the guy that owns like RV World or something like that. So, I mean, they couldn't have made out better in the end. Here's the one thing I'm going to say about this, Sam, and it's going to be a contrarian point of view. We've got to stop this thing of putting people's like faces up and saying, now we need to find out the name of this person, where they live, what their job is. We have to stop this because somebody's going to get killed one day. There are a lot of unhinged people in the world. And when you invite this kind of spotlight to be put on people who do horrible things, I get it. I am not a fan. I am very uncomfortable with where this is going in our society of basically, doxing people and doing this sort of thing. I have a big problem with it. Go ahead.
I mean, it's not a hot take. It's a take that I've heard before. I don't think it's, that necessarily contrarian. What I'll say is this. The counter to that is pretty simple. Hey, don't go out in public and be stupid and a nuisance. And these kinds of things won't happen. I don't think that's too big of an ask, especially from this lady who, once everybody, first of all, got booed out of the stadium, rightfully so. Second of all, flipped off the whole section.
Yes, she did.
Absolutely hilarious.
Yep.
Third of all, tried to fight another fan who was in the next section over. I mean, the lore behind this whole thing is just endless to me. This, to me, it's like drugs. I can't get enough of it. I want more of this story. I want to know her name. I want to know where she works. That's why all these things happen.
We don't need to know this. Just let it go. Like the song says, let it go.
Did you see they misdoxed her? They doxed the wrong person.
Yes, I saw that. And that's the problem. That is exactly the problem. Thank you to Bill Bender and Brian Twining. You, Sam Yarnell. We'll see you tomorrow.